Curious, setting the scene. This photograph captures the streets of Paris in April 1922. The crowds have gathered because Albert Einstein, a global scientific celebrity, has arrived in the city. He is about to walk into a meeting at the Société Française de Philosophie, an event that will trigger a century-long conceptual fracture. Waiting for him inside is Henri Bergson. At the time, Bergson is the era's undisputed titan of public philosophy. His entire academic reputation rests on his intricate studies of human consciousness and how we physically experience the world. When Einstein steps into the room, the two men sit face to face. They are there to debate the exact definition of a single, highly contested concept: time. They bring two mutually exclusive views to the table. Einstein argues that time is a strict external measurement tool constructed entirely by the coordination of clocks. Bergson counters that time is an internal, continuous flow of lived experience, deeply tied to memory and anticipation. The debate ends with Einstein delivering a sharp, dismissive conclusion that effectively shuts down the philosopher. He states, "There is no philosopher's time. There remains only a psychological time that differs from the physicists." Because they used one overloaded word to describe two entirely different realities, these men completely talked past each other. This misunderstanding created a deep divide between physics and human experience that we are still trying to unravel today. To understand Einstein's position, we have to adopt an operational mindset. In a physics laboratory, like the one shown in this photograph, casual assumptions about reality do not work. Every claim must be tied to a concrete action and provable through physical measurement. In his 1905 work on special relativity, Einstein faced a specific hurdle known as distant simultaneity. Distant simultaneity is the problem of proving that two events in different locations happen at the exact same moment. Knowing what time it is over there is not a universal given. It is a physical bridge that must be explicitly built. This diagram shows the specific protocol Einstein designed to build that bridge. He placed a local clock at each location, then bounced a pulse of light between them. By assuming the light's travel time is symmetric, physicists force the two distant readouts into absolute agreement. In this operational framework, time is not an invisible river flowing through the universe. It is strictly a ledger. It is a disciplined bookkeeping system used to coordinate and compare changing physical processes across vast distances. Einstein's mathematical map is an incredibly precise tool for coordinating the universe. But to make the math work, it requires stripping out the messy, continuous human experience of actually living through those events. This is exactly what Bergson warned against. He argued that slicing reality into a grid of static instants destroys the very phenomenon of change it is trying to measure. You mistake the mathematical map for the physical territory. To protect that territory, Bergson offered a concept called durée, or duration. Duration is qualitative becoming. It describes a sequence of changes that succeed one another without ever being separated into distinct, isolated units. This diagram illustrates Bergson's famous melody metaphor. Human experience is not a list of isolated notes placed side by side. When you listen to a song, the earlier notes bleed into and actively shape how you hear the present moment. The phases interpenetrate. The two thinkers were driven by opposing fears. Einstein feared that unregulated philosophical intuition would ruin his mathematical precision. Bergson feared the block universe, a theoretical interpretation of relativity where the future is already written, all events coexist statically, and human agency is dismissed as an illusion. As long as we insist that time is a single, hovering metaphysical substance, we trap ourselves. We force a false choice between a mathematically perfect map on one hand and the actual living territory on the other. We can resolve this dispute today by asking a deceptively simple question. What does a clock actually do? This image of internal brass gears represents our traditional assumption of timekeeping, supposedly tapping into a universal flow. But if we look at the cutting edge of modern metrology, the story changes. This glowing vacuum chamber shows the core of an atomic clock. Nowhere inside this highly advanced instrument is a sensor detecting an invisible fluid called time. This diagram demonstrates how a cesium-133 atomic clock actually functions. Cesium-133 is a highly stable element used as a reference point. The clock simply counts a repeatable physical change. It tallies exactly 9,192,631,770 periods of atomic radiation, and we agree by convention to call that tally 1 second. Clocks do not measure time, they measure standardized change. Time is simply the ledger we use to compare one changing process against another, using stable repeaters as our guide. Applying this to the 1922 debate provides a clean conceptual hygiene. We can keep Einstein's operational ledger for physics, which requires precise coordination, and we can keep Bergson's continuous duration for human consciousness, which relies on memory and anticipation. Both realities are perfectly satisfied without contradiction. The paradoxes disappear the moment we drop the duplicate layer. There is no separate, hovering metaphysical entity called time. There is only change and the ways we record it. We do not live inside a static block, and we are not being carried down a flowing river of time. We live in a universe defined entirely by continuous physical change, the records it leaves behind, and our profound ability to experience it.